Welcome to Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church's online worship. I'm Diane Oberbeck, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I serve as a member of the congregation's Board of Trustees. We are a freely gathered, open, welcoming community supported by your contributions, which can be made with the donate button on our website, by going to our Breeze program if you are a member, or by mailing your check to 524 Allen Avenue, Portland, Maine. Please note if your donation is your pledge or a gift to our Share the Plate for November. Our Share the Plate recipient for November is Maine Adaptive Sports and Recreation. Founded in 1982, Maine Adaptive is now the largest year-round adaptive recreation program in the state of Maine for adults and children with disabilities. Over 400 volunteers assist our athletes in appreciating the joys and challenges of sports participation. To learn more about this program, please go to their website, linked on our order of service today. You are invited to join us today, November 15th at 10:45 for our congregational conversation and coffee hour. This Zoom link can be found on our website in order of service. To learn more about Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church, please go to our website at A2U2.org.
Welcome to this community where you are welcomed as your whole self. Our opening words are those of the Reverend Teresa Soto. What it takes to survive is more than an emergency blanket, a fire starter, and a hatchet. It requires recognizing yourself after someone has tried to blur your divine image. It requires saying your own name over and over, but only for your own benefit, for your own glory, for finding your route to the earth beneath you and the sky everywhere, for illuminating opaque horizons when you're not sure if you'll ever recover, ever grow. Outliving intentional harm requires a single ember banked in your wheezing, dizzy heart. And if you find that tiny fire smothered, smug patriarchy shrugging off the work of stained hands and starched cuffs, please, friend, please, do not despair. We here share the light of our belonging with and to one another. The work of outliving evil cannot be completed in a single moment. Recognize and remember who you will yet become. We will share our spark with you. We will say your name with honor. We will know you as healing and as free. I invite you now to join in singing our opening hymn, Morning Hangs a Signal.
Our chalice lighting words this morning are those of Orlando Brugnola. We kindle you now to make you visible in this time, yet in truth you burn always, in the unique worth of each person, in the imagination, in the turning of the heart to sorrow or joy, in the call to hope, in the call to justice. Burn bright before us, burn bright within us.
Today we're talking a little bit about something called a looking glass. And Alice in Wonderland, if any of you have ever seen it, goes through a looking glass. And now I think of a looking glass as a mirror. So we see certain things in a mirror. We might see ourselves and we go, oh, there we are, ready for the day. Or we might see something that's a little out of shape. Have you ever seen those mirrors that are kind of curly? There's one in a restaurant in Topsom that when you stand in front of it, you're kind of a different shape than you might anticipate. And so mirrors can be really fun. And what Alice in Wonderland does is she goes through the mirror and she sees things in a totally different way, and different things happen to her that she tries to explain, and sometimes she gets stuck and has to figure out how to get out of a situation, and she meets all kinds of different creatures that have questions. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to see things in a different kind of way, and I have some examples for you. One of the things you'll see here is a picture of a candle, and then something changes. It takes all kinds of different shapes on and different angles and things we might not kind of notice about it if we're just looking at it the way that it is as we initially see it. And then there's this picture, and if you look at it, there's some fish and some green and some colors, and then something starts to happen. And through the shifts, we start to notice different things about this picture that we might not at first glance understand. So there's things that are more complex and a little more interesting than what we first expect to see. And life is a little bit like that. Some of what we see at first, and we say, I know what that is, we come to understand that it really can be different if we look at it in a little bit different way. I wonder this week what you might decide to look at through a different kind of angle. See how many ways you can understand something, for instance. So one of the ways I went through the looking glass, like Alice did, was with my kaleidoscope. And so maybe this week you might think about all the different ways that we mirror life, that it can look as simple as a candle or a picture with fish. But when we use our special tools of imagination, or our kaleidoscope, or like Alice, we go through the looking glass, life can be really different than we first think that it is. People can be really interesting in ways we didn't imagine, and that helps our communities be even better. When we are diverse and have different perspectives and ideas, it's what makes our church a better place. It's what makes our community a better place, and it is what makes our nation and our world a better place. So this week, I hope that you'll do some looking with your special looking glass.
We will not stop singing. We will not stop singing. We will not stop singing till the world can hear the song, till the world can sing along. We will not stop marching. We will not stop marching. We will not stop marching till the world can hear the song, till the world can sing along. Till the world can sing, till the world can till the world can sing along, till the world can sing, till the world can sing, till the world can sing along.
We will not stop praying. We will not stop praying. We will not stop praying till we all can get along, till the world can sing our song. We will not stop shouting. We will not stop shouting. We will not stop shouting. Shouting right from wrong till the world can sing our song. Till the world can sing. Till the world can sing. Till the world can sing along. Till the world can sing. Till the world can sing. Till the world can sing along. We will not stop singing. We will not stop singing. We will not stop singing till the world can hear our song, till the world can sing along.
I invite you into the spirit of prayer or meditation, as is your practice, with these words of the Reverend Dr. Monica Cummings from the book Voices from the Margins, slightly adapted for length. Dear unknown, unknowable, yet known by many names, keep us mindful that we are all related, that when one of us is ignored and treated with dis-ease, we all suffer. Today, let each of us commit to welcome the stranger. Let us move beyond our comfort zones and connect with people labeled different and pushed to the edges of society. We can make a difference. We can transform lives. We can bring harmony and healing to places and spaces where we live, work, and play. Let us keep our hearts and minds open and receptive on the journey toward wholeness. In the spirit of love, compassion, and community, let it be done. May it be so. Amen. Our reading is Choice by Alex Capitan. I want to talk about choice. I want to talk about the fact that just because someone who is out to destroy you says you chose to be the way that you are does not mean the path of best protection is to counter with, no, I didn't. It's not a choice. I was born this way, and I've always been this way. Is who I am, my sexuality, my gender, a deep and real part of me, close to my soul? Yes. Are there choices involved? Of course there are. I have made one choice after another to feel more at ease, more vibrant, more alive. I chose to change my name. I chose to allow myself to open to the idea that I might be attracted to women. I chose to open myself to the idea that, first of all, genderqueer people exist. Second, that I might be one. And third, that I might be attracted to other genderqueer folks. After all this, I chose to remain open to the idea that I was still attracted to men and might actually like being in a relationship with one. If I hadn't made these choices, I never could have lived into my full, authentic self. And you know, there are some things that are more attractive to me than gender. I am attracted to feminists. I'm attracted to queer people and radicals. I'm attracted to people who are assertive and like to make decisions. Is any of this biologically hardwired in me? Probably not. Is all of it impacted by culture? Definitely. But do I have every right to pursue relationships and experiences with whoever I want? Because it's my body and my sexuality. Yes. It doesn't matter who I seek intimacy, ecstasy, joy, or camaraderie with. Sexuality is sacred. Love is sacred. And I deserve and demand the right to full control over my body and what I do with it and who I share it with. So if anyone ever tries to invalidate you or the way you seek intimacy by saying, it's just a choice, tell them the choice is sacred. Tell them the inherent right of every person to have full authority and agency over the choices they make about their lives and their bodies is a spiritual and human imperative, that there is a word for this, and it's liberation. There is nothing more worth fighting for. Tell them that in your faith tradition, we don't love people despite their differences or because they can't help being different. We love people because of their differences and because diversity enriches our world and our communities. Tell them that in the final reckoning, there is only one choice that will be judged, and that's their choice. Tell them you hope they choose love. I invite you now to sing our next hymn, which are the words and music of Libby Roderick. How could anyone?
How could anyone ever tell you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that that your loving is a miracle. How deeply you're connected to my soul.
What is there beyond knowing that keeps calling to me? I can't turn in any direction, but it's there. These few words from Mary Oliver's poem, What Is There Beyond Knowing, resonates for me during this week of Transgender Awareness. The story of Alice that I refer to in the Time for All Ages has a particular scene between Alice and a caterpillar. In this wonderful piece written by Charles Lutwidge Dodson, pen name Lewis Carroll, Alice has gone through the looking glass, has found herself in unfamiliar land. As the story goes, she eventually shape changes, is trapped from time to time, and eventually she runs into this very rude caterpillar. Alice and the caterpillar's interchange went something like this. After looking at each other for some time in silence, the caterpillar took the hookah out of its mouth and addressed Alice in a sleepy voice. "Who are you?" Alice eventually replies, I'm not sure. I knew who I was this morning, but my day has just gone awry and things keep changing. I don't know who I am. By now, Alice has changed from one size to another and really had no answer for that caterpillar. That caterpillar had some pre-designed notion that she should have a particular answer, and it asks again, "Who are you?" And Alice says, same answer, "I'm not sure." And transformation is like this. She gets that. Alice understands this, and she says to the caterpillar, someday you're going to get this. You're going to turn into a chrysalis and eventually turn into a butterfly. Doubtful, the caterpillar says. I don't think so. I don't think so. Who are you? The caterpillar demands. And finally, Alice, kind of fed up to here with the caterpillar's rudeness, leaves the scene. She walked away. The story, if we listen closely enough, touches the edge of liberation, feminist, and queer theology, in my mind. Sometimes our lessons arrive through media, and in our Unitarian Universalist faith, we give credence to lived experiences, so our truth includes that as well. I was in my mid-20s in my social work career, and it was like any other ordinary work day. When I met a person out in the waiting room, I'll call Jay, and I have been given permission to share this story with you. They walked through my office door sitting hesitantly on the edge of their seat, dressed a bit nondescript. Assigned male at birth, they began to share the story of their life. I sat somewhat uncomfortably, knowing that listening with compassion might tide me through this session. The story of isolation unfolded as a light in the afternoon shone through my meeting room office window, which was open to the parking lot. At this moment, hanging out in the parking lot seemed like a more comfortable place to be than sitting with Jay, as they shared their cross-dressing experience and a longing for connection with a sense of the feminine. This did not meet any of the preconceived notions I had about gender. It was kind of a mind-blowing experience that I will forever be grateful for. Time and sessions passed, and my understanding grew, as did the story of confinement. One particularly poignant image that Jay shared with me was that of a young girl being towered over by this huge person in a large robe, waving across with their foot, just getting ready to crush the little girl. It was 1989. Years pass, and I arrive at the home of one of my home care clients, carrying a heavy bag of charts before computers. Making my way over to the couch in the living room, I'm greeted eagerly by a child of maybe 4 years old. "Are you a girl or a boy?" "I'm a girl," I respond. "Are you a girl or a boy?" "I'm a girl," I respond, this time showing her my earrings as if that's some proof or entrance into being a girl. "Are you a girl or a boy?" the child asked one more time, clearly not believing me. And I was honestly really stumped. What do I say now? You could say in the eyes of this little one, I had cross-dressed and passed as a guy without even intending to. I think this little one would have kept asking had her parent not redirected her into another direction. Even at 4 years old, she had ideas about what people were supposed to look like when they presented themselves to her. We learn these things at a really early age. What are the questions you ask yourself about other people? Do you unconsciously try to fit them into some preconceived notion, identity, or stereotype? More time passes, and I'm traveling with my spouse, Kate, and we end up heading to the bathroom at some location in Austria that I can't even remember now. There were guards on duty, and I wondered how much trouble can we get to waiting to go to the bathroom? I move in line behind Kate and my mom, so I'm waiting as patiently as I can, and this guard comes up to me, trying to get me to go to the men's bathroom. Once again, I'm trying to defend my gender. Not only didn't I have the word still to prove what my gender was, but we had a language barrier going on, and I'm pretty sure had that guard not been hesitant to actually put their hands on me to move me into a different line, I would have been someplace I didn't want to be that day. Can you imagine being told you can't go to the bathroom? How would you feel? Have you ever been the guard on duty at the bathroom, judging who you think should and shouldn't be allowed to pee? What do our current constructs of gender and sexuality have to say about our understanding of love, community, and even of the divine, of God? When we release gender from the confines, those limited binary male, female, boy, girl, man, woman confines, we can free ourselves. Marcella Altheus Reed describes God as a hostage status. She goes on to say that the end goal is to liberate God, God's self, from the ideological structures of oppression that history has constructed around the understanding of the sacred, the reading of scriptures, the vision of how to be church. As we answer the call of our Unitarian Universalist faith, respecting the inherent worth and dignity of every person and living into our interdependence with others, I believe we can liberate our hearts, our minds, as we take love, life, and each other through the looking glass of life. Michel Foucault says, "We must not imagine a world of discourse divided between the dominant discourse and the dominated one, but as a multiplicity of discursive elements that come into play at various strategies." Now, that's a mouthful, but it asks, what do our current constructs of gender, sexuality, and politics have to say about our understanding of life, our understanding of what it means to be a church community? During Transgender Awareness Week, we are invited to release gender from its limited binary confinement, and we have an opportunity to liberate ourselves and others from whatever confines us. As we go through the looking glass, we disrupt preconceived notions about all of this, about identity, society, politics, and love. When we hold our curiosity to only the things that make us the same, we are at a pretty low bar along the intercultural competence. As we venture a little further along on that bar and our curiosity widens to welcome how we're different, how our perspectives are different, how our political stances are different, it offers us a beautiful kaleidoscopic effect. It's as though we ourselves are invited through a moment of transformation. In this ongoing work of emancipatory praxis, healing work, we as a church can address the profound sufferings of our time, particularly the suffering caused by structures, rules, and ways of being that use difference, be it gender, race, sexual orientation, class, or politics, etc. We can be healed into freedom as we practice this work of taking our assumptions and learnings through that looking glass. We can heal our communities, including our church, one interaction at a time, one relationship at a time. We are blessed to be part of a community that invites us into this healing work. We are blessed to be part of Unitarian Universalism that invites us through this looking glass. I invite you now to join me in singing our closing hymn, number 67, We Sing Now Together.
We sing now together our song of thanksgiving, rejoicing in the goods which the ages have wrought, for life that unfolds us and helps and heals and holds us and leads beyond the goals which our forebears once sought. We sing of the freedoms which martyrs and heroes have won by their labor, their sorrow, their pain, the oppressed befriending, our ampler hopes defending. Their death becomes a triumph, they died not in vain. We sing of the prophets, the teachers, the dreamers, designers, creators, and workers and seers, our own lives expanding, our gratitude commanding. Their deeds have made immortal their days and their years. We sing of community now in the making, in every far continent, region, and land, with those of all races, all times and names and places. We pledge ourselves in covenant firmly to stand.
Our benediction words are those of the Reverend Jody Cohen Hayashida, spoken from the 2018 Women's March in Maine. When the fullness of God is realized, we will all be kin together. In other words, we may be told by our fears or our ignorance or our own government that safety and salvation come through separation, but the truth is, we save all of us together, or none of us at all.